A very good evening to you and thank you for choosing NTV. It must be quite a relief for the 1,179,192 candidates who set for the 2020 KCPE exams, performing exceptionally well despite a completely unique examination period following disruptions occasioned by the COVID-19. We'll get more details on that in a moment as we also keep focus on the ongoing search for the next Chief Justice. Here first are the highlights.
Tonight, KCPE 2020. It's another win for the girls. Faith Mumo leads the country.
The top 15 places, the female candidates have taken 8, including the first 3 overall slots.
I'm very elated and very excited about this, and I want to thank God for this far He has taken me. I was flabbergasted about the news.
2020 candidates outdo 2019 class despite the pandemic and many other setbacks.
Ningependa kuambia kuwa everything is possible and never give up.
Public schools receive a great report form. Plus, Justice Smriti Vidyarthi on the hot seat, and he seems to have gotten burnt.
What is our current strategic plan cover? What period does it cover?
I am not aware of that one.
Judge at the Employment and Labour Court wants the top job, but has a tough job before the panel. Also tonight, the antiretroviral drugs standoff is increasingly hard to stand for patients and health workers.
There's anxiety, there's anguish, so it's a hopeless situation.
Not having the items, the commodities, the ARVs and the laboratory, kits is too expensive in terms of increased morbidity.
Fears of reversing progress made in the HIV and AIDS war. And the International Monetary Fund defends its 255 billion shilling loan to Kenya amid public discontentment.
We, of course, are providing financing, but it's the cheapest financing that's available for the government of Kenya at a time like this.
NTV Tonight with Zainab Ismail.
Well, we're glad to have you on board. On the sign language interpretation this evening is Flora Atieno. Well, we start off the bulletin with the just released KCPE 2020 results, and public schools have regained their glory and outperformed private schools in a number of candidates who scored top marks. The top candidate this year is Faith Mumo, who scored 433 marks, and from the Karimwailu School in Makueni County. Closing in second place was Yvette Nanzala with 432 marks from Chogoria Girls. Angel Gakenya from Maseno Girls also had 432 marks. Samuel Wanyonyi from Zoya Sugar in Bungoma County came in fourth with 431 marks, tying with Castro Williams. 8,091 students scored between 400 and 500 marks in this year's exams. 282,090 students scored between 300 and 399, and 589,027 students scored between 200 and 299. And Faith Momo Kavi is still getting used to being on top of the nation months after her family suffered the loss of income for her father's part and having to move away from the capital to Matinga village, Mala in Machakos County. The ordinarily sleepy village is hosting excitement, pride and faith-laden gratitude, with guests streaming into the home of the country's top candidate in the KCPE 2020 exams. Leila Mohammed was with the family and brings to us the testimonial. And it is evident that for Mumo, faith is not just her name, but her guiding light.
Zainab, the word of the day is faith, and faith is what has kept her going for over
7 months of being away from the classroom, coming back here to Machakos County and going through a lot of issues in her life. And she says it is faith that will take her through the journey of life and keep her going in more successes as she basks in the glory of the KCPE 2020. Faith Mumo, good evening. How are you feeling today?
I'm very elated and very excited about this. And I want to thank God for this far He has taken me. I was flabbergasted about the news.
Where were you when CS Magoha announced that you were the top student in the class of 2020?
So my brother is in Nairobi, so he called my father and told him that the results are going to be announced today. But when we turned on the TV, we just found other things going on. So we just took it for granted. And then after lunch, I went and slept. But when I was sleeping, a certain priest called my dad, and then he told him that I had emerged victorious and I had become #1 in Kenya.
I know you keep the faith and you say faith is what makes you who you are. How much of a challenge has 2020 been to you? And where does this make you, how does it make you grow in terms of a person?
You know, my mom had a point calling me faith because I usually have a lot of faith in myself. So I used to say, even if the corona is here and I'm still at home, I can still make it. And I'll still striving and keep on striving and striving harder so as to continue with my lessons. So I used to take online classes and I'll also study at home. And I'll even call my friends and ask them how to do some other things that I didn't know how to do, because one thing I know is that I know nothing. I usually do everything to invent something in every day.
Talk to me about having to move from where you are to here, such a sleepy village in the middle of practically nowhere in Machakos County. How has that been for you?
It has been very hard. I even had a very hard time catching up with this place, but we are still going back there. So we had to come here so as to get out from the crowded places. You know, Nairobi is very crowded, so we had to come to this. At least it's a little bit deserted somehow. So we came here, and I've been having a very hard time catching up with the life of here.
You talk about your father losing his job due to the COVID-19 pandemic. How does that affect you as a person, and how does that inform your wanting to become somebody better in life?
One thing I know about my dad is that he's a very hardworking person. Though he was away from his job, he still did other things because he's a businessman still. He's still a businessman. So he used to do other things, and we lived a happy life. Actually, I've ate a lot of things that I didn't eat even during the other times, but I ate it here because my dad was always there. He could tell me, even if the corona is here, don't worry, we'll still get back there, and we'll continue with the life that we usually had.
Why medicine and why surgery and why brain surgery, neurosurgery in particular?
I was inspired by Congestina because, you know, she has that head damage. So I said that even those people in the slums are still having this problem. So I decided, let me become a neurosurgeon and help these people so that they can have a better life. Yeah.
Congratulations once again. Keep the faith. Mzee, siku hii unajihisi vipi wewe na mama? Sijui kama tunaweza kuwaonesha nyinyi wote wawili. Unajihisi vipi?
Tuko na furaha sana kwa sababu ya Faith Kawe. Tunajua sio kawaida. Wenyewe hii ni mambo ya Mungu na tunashukuru sana na tunafurahia sana mahali ametuweka, na tunasema maisha imekuwa mangumu, lakini lazima tuendelee kuenda mbele kwa sababu hatuwezi angalia nyuma, lazima tuangalie mbele.
Zungumzia changamoto tunatarajia atachukuliwa katika shule ambayo ni ya umaarufu mkubwa. Wewe mwenyewe kuna changamoto za ukosefu wa ajira. Unahisi itakuwa ni mzigo mkubwa kwako kumsomesha binti yako?
Kwa kusema ukweli, najua ni mzigo ambao uko mbele yetu, lakini tutajitahidi tu vile tuwezavyo. Mungu akitusaidia, tunaona mambo yatakuwa mzuri, lakini tunaomba Mungu sana kwa sababu enyewe wakati huu kama vile tunaongea saa hii, hatuna pesa yoyote mahali tumeweka, hatuna even 1,000 shillings tumeweka mahali, lakini tunajua tu with God everything is possible.
Mama, sijui wewe unahisi vipi, mama aliyebeba mwana, tumbo la mama linahisi vipi leo?
Mimi nahisi furaha sana na ninasema ni asante kwa Mungu kwa sababu isipokuwa si mkono wa Bwana hii haingewezekana. Mimi ninamshukuru Faith na ninashukuru Mungu sana, na wale wengine walikuwa wamemsupport na maombi.
Unatarajia kumuongoza vipi binti yako anapoingia katika nafasi ya pili ya maisha yake? Utampa wosia upi? Utampatia maoni ya aina gani na kiongozi kipi katika mambo ambayo ataweza kutekeleza katika shule ya upili?
Mimi yangu ni kumwambia atie bidii, akuwe na tabia mzuri, na kwa sababu anaona ile inaendelea kwa news vile watoto wasichana wanapata mimba, nitamwambia akuwe na tabia mzuri na aepukane na mambo ya youth, atie bidii kabisa, na akitia bidii na akuwe na tabia mzuri, hata secondary atapata maisha mazuri.
Asante sana. That is a family that will go to bed tonight feeling the spirit of leadership, being on top of the nation. KCPE 2020 top candidate Faith Mumo says she is keeping the faith in terms of going ahead with herself. Her father beaming with confidence that despite the challenges that life brings to him, he knows it is going to be a better day for him and his family. So I take you back to studio where we are already continuing with the coverage of the results, where all the players and the winners of 2020 are being celebrated tonight.
Indeed, and thank you so much, Leila Mohammed, for managing that trip at such a short time. Eloquent and confident she is, the top candidate, Faith Momo. A hearty congratulations from us, together with the other candidates who performed exceptionally well in the 2020 KCPE exams, and all the very best in their future endeavour. Now, the national exam results release season brings with it some touching stories of success amid heavy challenges, some which leave you in awe of how the candidates succeeded. Well, Nandi County's top pupil in the KCPE exam, Abiud Kipkurui, was position 7 nationally, having scored 430 marks. He comes from a family of such humble resources that his father says he had to borrow a jacket when he heard that the media and others were going there to celebrate his son's success. When a man cries, it tells a tale. Let's hear it from the family, which says it does not have enough money to pay the boy's school fees for his next phase of education, which is secondary school.
Congratulations from NTV and from the country. We are so proud of you.
Nilikuwa nasikia wanataja majina ya wale ya. Nikasikia jina yangu ya hapo, nilifurahi sana. Ya the school yenye nilikuwa nimechoose Friends Kamusinga, and that's the school nilikuwa na aspire. Alafu career yangu yenye ningependa after my studies, ningependa kuwa neurosurgeon. Kwa hivyo ningependa kuambia wale wengine ambao wanaona as if background yao inaweza wafanya wasipate ile ambayo wanahitaji. Ningependa kuambia kuwa everything is possible and never give up in what you. Vile nilikuwa bado niko kwa day school, nilikuwa naona challenge ilikuwa kubwa sana, ni time ya kurevise. Yeah, but after some time nikachikaza. Nilikuwa natumia time yangu vizuri kwa shule.
Ukiniona vile mimi niko namna hii, hata nguo niliomba mtu hii, sababu nilisikia ati kuna press wataingia hapa. Tuna pesa hata tongolo. Kuna pesa ya kusomesha? Kuna hata nduru. Sasa unaweza omba serikali wakufanyie nini? Ninaomba serikali wanisaidie. Amsomeshe huyu kijana ili apite, ili anisaidia hata na mimi. Unaona hata majosi natoka sababu zina tongolo.
Wow, and we certainly hope that that boy's vision and wanting to go to the next level of education will be achieved, whether through the government, the county government, the community members. We certainly hope that will happen. Meanwhile, a visually impaired girl from Garissa County has left her community beaming with pride as she scored top marks in her county to emerge #1. She joins the list of top scorers in the 2020 KCPE exams. Gina Kirori reports.
She made the walk to meet her excited teachers and peers, flanked by her parents. But in the hours she sat for her KCPE examination, Ifra Mohamed Churie was alone and overcame the challenge of being partially visually impaired to emerge as #1 in Garissa County for the special needs education category and 7th nationally in the 2020 KCPE examinations.
Ningependa kuwa daktari wa damu, hematologist, ili nisaidie wagonjwa kama mimi.
Waomba wanafunzi wenzake wale walemavu wafanye bidii vile Ivra amefanya.
Very disciplined, determined and hardworking. She has been here for a while since nursery school, and in all the years she's been here, she was working so closely with teachers. So we want to thank her for the effort.
And in typical fashion, the celebrations did not disappoint. Samuel Wanyonyi, a pupil at Nzoia Primary School in Bungoma, sealed his spot as #4 nationally after scoring 431 points. He attributed his success to discipline and God, especially after a tough couple of years since his father died.
Chose Mangu High School so that I can do aviation and become a pilot.
And in Makueni County, the celebrations were unstoppable as the elated group of teachers and learners had more than one reason to celebrate, as Emmanuel Springs Academy produced 2 pupils in the top 10 countrywide. In Nyeri County, Margaret Warogoro's score of 429 marks left the community ecstatic as it secured her position as the 8th top candidate nationwide. In Nairobi, the top pupil in the county, Bernice Omondi, was lifted in joy and praise by her teachers as her peers looked on in pride. Just as many of the candidates, Bernice was surprised when she had Education CS Professor George Magoha say her name and has urged those that did not receive the grade they wished for to be resilient.
The best thing is to remain hopeful. We still have 4 years in high school after all. And KCP, even though it's a major point, it doesn't necessarily determine our lifetime.
We always pray for her every day from the time she was born up to now. And we know that there is a certain thing that is only played by God alone.
She hopes to be a lawyer or a human rights activist in the future. When Chalk once again met Blackboard last year in October, it presented a challenge for many students who had to deal with learning during a pandemic. But this has led to this moment where they are simultaneously planting the seeds for their future and harvesting the fruits of their labor. Gena Kirori, NTV, Nairobi.
Just wonderful news there. In the effort to implement the full transition from primary schools, all candidates who set for the 2020 KCPE exams will join secondary schools. Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha added that the over 1.18 million candidates who did the exams will get their results, including those who were involved in irregularities. Speaking during the release of the KCPE results at the NEC headquarters in Nairobi, Magoha said President Uhuru Kenyatta intervened on the matter. Professor Magoha lauded the students for their excellent performance despite the disruptive coronavirus pandemic.
In the 2020 KCPE examination, the overall performance improved compared to 2019. Although the mark for the highest candidate drops from 440 to 443 in 2020, the mean average performance and quality of grades of all candidates is higher. 5 cases of impersonation were detected during this examination process, and 7 candidates were found with prepared notes in examination rooms. We shall release the part of the results of all the candidates, but those staffers who allowed this to happen shall be severely punished.
And I'm just talking about the primary subsector. We have lost 15 teachers. We have lost 3 deputy head teachers, and we have lost 8 head teachers to the pandemic. And we are saying we don't even want to lose one teacher, and we empathize with them and their families.
And we certainly wish all the very best to all the candidates as they move forward to the next level of education. Meanwhile, to other matters, issues of high-handedness, health status, competency and independence of the judiciary largely characterized the interview of Justice David Marete for the position of the next Chief Justice. Justice Marete found himself on the spot to defend his mental status after a disability card he had submitted to the commission indicated that he had a mental disability. Well, Vincent Odor reports on a session that was, you could describe, quite comical.
Good morning, Judge. For the past 8 years, Justice David Marete has been at the Employment and Labor Relations Court. This Thursday, he was the fourth candidate to appear before the Judicial Service Commission seeking to be the next Chief Justice.
Get a team of 3 or 4.
But his move to submit a disability card that indicated that he had a mental disability raised doubts on his mental capacity to be a CJ. But Marete argued it was a printing error that never bothered him since 2015.
And then it indicates the nature of disability, visual, mental. Is that a reflection of you? I have a visual issue. And occasionally I get affected by what we call low sugar issues. Hypoglycemia was taken or was translated to be mental disability, which will never be the case.
The need to have a Chief Justice with an in-depth understanding of the happenings in the judiciary emerged, even as it seemingly exposed Justice Marete.
What is our current strategic plan cover? What period does it cover?
I am not aware of that one.
Which means then that my Lord would not know the strategies, particularly the policies that are discussed in the current policy?
I would not.
The organization review. Would my Lord please discuss what we are doing there?
I am not an insider in that kind of...
Yes, my Lord, you are an insider. Would you please discuss that matter? My Lord has been here since 2012, right?
During the past 2 presidential election disputes, the Supreme Court was the court of last resort for the litigants. It is not unimaginable that the new CJ is likely to also face a presidential petition in the 2022 presidential election. According to Justice Marete, the Supreme Court was not anticipated to handle such petitions.
The Constitution of Kenya 2010 does not indicate, there's no indication whatsoever that it intended that the Supreme Court becomes a final appellate court in election petitions. What ails the judiciary from the onset is the backlog of cases.
But there are some dark spots in his career. Justice Marete once ordered the arrest and charging of a judiciary staff who was making noise along the corridor close to where he was presiding a case. That earned Justice Marete a bad indictment. Last year, Justice Marete survived a motion to remove him from the judiciary after spending 5 months on suspension. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Well, candidate number 4 done. Tomorrow, lawyer Philip Kipchirchir Murgor will face the JSC panel in the ongoing search for Chief Justice. Here's a quick profile. Murgor was born in 1961 in Elgeyo-Marakwet County. He has an aggregate of 34 years' experience in the legal profession. He was admitted to the role of advocate in 1986. He holds a Master's of Law and a Bachelor's of Law from the University of Nairobi and a postgraduate diploma in law from the Kenya School of Law. Murgor was a state counsel at the Attorney General's office from 1986 to 1992. Then in 2003, he was appointed Director of Public Prosecutions, where he served for 2 years before returning to private practice. He has been a managing partner at Murgor & Murgor Advocates from 2007 to date. In 2018, he briefly returned to the DPP's office after he was appointed by Nurdin Haji as a special prosecutor. And on that note, we take a very short break here. Our first break on NTV tonight. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Wow, thank you for your time.
And do you have any question for us?
How juicy.
Juicy. Juicy. Niko fiti maze niko fiti. Majamana mabenti wako fiti. Juicy fruit, juicy fruit, juicy fruit, juicy fruit.
Tap into the convenience of ABSA contactless cards, another innovation that's turning banking on its head. Now, you can make fast, easy and safe contactless payments for everyday items. That's Africanacity. That's ABSA.
My darlings, my love will protect you from everything, visible and invisible. We might not always have plenty, but we will always have enough. And whatever Mama touches will magically turn into more for you. Just one capful of Dettol is enough to disinfect surfaces and protect your family and your home. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
What does it take to move a nation? It starts with a dream. A dream which gains momentum and becomes bigger and better and more audacious. What does it take to move a nation? It takes the commitment to innovate and invest in breakthrough technology, to build partnerships across the continent, to create connections, to enable businesses to make their dreams a reality. What does it take to move a nation? It takes Sandy.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Advance for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Advance. This has been Medifax for Panadol.
I see innovation and entrepreneurship thriving. I see young Kenyans remaking the world around them, creating lasting solutions to tomorrow's problems today. And I see women just like me at the heart of this revolution. And while others might see symbols and numbers, these girls see the language of the future. My name is Dorcas Owino, and I am a co-director at LACAB.
Kila nikikaka kwenye line
Mbuyamono kabisa this week on the trend.
Daudi agatenga sumuruoti ndoje kwebiri wa Daudi agatenga sumuruoti ndoje kwebiri wa
The man putting kisses on the map Embarambamba.
Ukitaka umbarikiwe sana pendi this way
Tuko na Geri Kumaro
awazina.
It will be a mad edition. Ukipenda the Gambut edition because ile matope ambayo tutaleta kwenye studio. Mbuyamono.
Yesa akiete mwasakayo ndoje mwebire.
Our brand new gated community project, Happy Gardens in Kitengela. You matter to us. Pay 800k on any of our projects and get 20k cashback. Pop. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, in the last 1 month, Kenya has topped the African continent in new COVID-19 cases, as well as new deaths reported. This is according to data from the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention. The Africa CDC continues to urge the continent to take up the AstraZeneca vaccine, noting that its benefits outweigh its risks. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health says Kenya is set to receive about 2.5 million more doses of the COVID-19 vaccine by May.
By yesterday, at least 616,166 people had been vaccinated against COVID-19 in Kenya, despite the growing viral load. In the latest data by Africa CDC reports that Kenya is topping the continent in the number of cases and deaths. Due to the sharp rise in demand for the vaccine production from the Serum Institute of India, Africa CDC, through a statement, said that it is engaging other COVID-19 vaccine manufacturers to ensure there is no duplication, as well as to ensure the continent's vaccination needs are met.
Those who received and are due for their second dose in accordance with WHO guidance will indeed receive their second dose between 8 and 12 weeks after their first AstraZeneca dose. 0.5 million doses provided through the COVAX facility are expected in the country in the month of May.
According to the Africa CDC, nearly 42 million tests have been conducted in the African Union member states since the pandemic started, representing a 2.4% increase from last week. So far, Nairobi, Uasin Gishu and Nakuru are the counties with the highest COVID-19 vaccine uptake.
616,166 people have so far been vaccinated with their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. From this number, 132,537 are healthcare workers, 48,859 are security personnel.
Counties and facilities should not hold on to a second dose because the first dose gives you up to 76% protection. Herd immunity is 60 to 70 with the dynamic said there. For us, we are going to monitor the impact of our immunization program very closely, looking at the number of cases, looking at the number of hospital admissions, and looking at the transmission dynamics.
Counties have been urged to log in their data through the Chanjo system so as to get replacements of the vaccines once they run out, while discussions on the role of the private sector in the vaccine administration have commenced. Helen Aura, NTV.
Well, more than 1 week after the government announced that it had resolved a standoff that has left the country staring at a crisis over the supply of the antiretroviral drugs, most public health facilities in the country are yet to receive fresh consignments of the commodities. People living with HIV are now concerned that the supply standoff may water down gains made in containing the disease. Okukusa spoke to patients and industry players for this special report.
We got to Eric Okioma's office in Nyalenda Estate right on time to catch him on a Zoom meeting with stakeholders and partners discussing HIV/AIDS related issues. Key amongst them, the antiretroviral drugs stock out.
It's difficult for us to say when this whole issue can come to an end. But even as we are waiting patiently, hoping in the hope that this will be resolved sooner than later. So.
The man speaking is Douglas Onyancha, the head of USAID KEMSA Medical Commodities Program. Okioma is among some 1.2 million Kenyans whose supply of antiretrovirals has been affected by a tug of war between the government of Kenya and that of the United States of America over a consignment clearance standoff at the port of Mombasa.
There's anxiety, there's anguish, and you know that some of these medicines we are given at the facility. So we just imagining a situation where we don't have and we have to buy. And those are some of the things that are making us anxious, and it's a hopeless situation.
Commodities being held at the port of Mombasa include HIV testing kits, treatment and prevention drugs, laboratory reagents, as well as TB diagnostic and prevention medications.
Not
having the items, the commodities, the ARVs and the laboratory, kits and that kind of stuff is too expensive. It's too expensive in terms of increased morbidity, increased, sickness, increased transmission, and also resistance. Those implications of having missing, medications or not testing, for example, pregnant women or HIV exposed children is too dire to think about.
Children and unborn babies may suffer most as a result of the 90 million tax standoff. Among the missing supplies is a critical sweet tablet medication for minors.
We also have even mothers who are actually taking adult medication, splitting it into two and crushing. And you see that kind of medicine, that it's bitter, the child cannot take. And one of the stories she was sharing, the child now decided to hide the medicine because the child could not take it anymore.
Data from the National AIDS Control Council says more than 106,000 Kenyan children aged 15 and below are living with HIV, but only 72,968 are on treatment. That number could rise exponentially. In Kisumu, the ARV drugs shortage has hit public hospitals, greatly affecting people living with HIV. Some are now forced to grapple with reduced doses.
We are giving shorter durations, initially 3 months, 2 months. The latest that I've been told today is that they are giving even as short as 2 weeks, because we are hoping that in the meantime we'll have adequate stock for all the facilities.
At the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital, where some 6,784 patients are on care, the shelves are quickly running empty. Staff in charge of the support center tell NTV that the last time a consignment was delivered here was way back in March 2018, and it was short of what they had ordered. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe assured Kenyans earlier this month that the stalemate had been resolved and the essential drugs cleared for distribution. Kagwe further said that the ministry had received some supplies from other pipeline sources and was restocking facilities around the country to ensure continuity of supply to patients. But for Eric and many more, the sooner the better.
The government, if it has issues with the USAID or with whoever is supplying or the supply chain, they should just take the medication and they sort out those kind of things somewhere. Because this is
Okukusa NTV, Kisumu.
Which people have to take every day.
And that report by Okukusa takes us to yet another break. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at the business news.
Africanacity is not just a word, it is part of who we are. And our commitment to working with you to find a way to get things done. We love Africanacity. We are one with you.
Beat sensitivity pain fast with Sensodyne Rapid Action for clinically proven relief in 60 seconds.
Maritime Tips, brought to you by Kenya Maritime Authority. Preserve our marine environment. Oceans are our source of food, employment, recreation, fishing, shipping, and tourism. Therefore, properly dispose litter on waste bins during beach excursions. Do not throw plastic litter or pour oil into marine waters. Cut down on plastic use. Do not endanger marine life. Influence change near you. Share what what you know with your friends and family. Report any accident or incident to the Regional Maritime Rescue Coordination Center, Kenya Maritime Authority, for safe and efficient water transport.
In case of any oil spill emergencies at sea, call the Regional Maritime Rescue Coordination Center
on 0721 368 313 or 0737 719 414. Or you can visit us on www.kma.go.ke or Facebook Kenya Maritime Authority, Twitter at KMA Kenya or YouTube Kenya Maritime Authority.
Now, as we enter another chapter of the COVID-19 pandemic, rest assured that we aim to deliver the same level of professionalism, excellence, and integrity you have come to expect from us. We did it once before, and now we are better prepared and equipped to ensure that our future leaders get what they truly deserve, the best education. Applications can be done online via ztech.ac.ke.
Like every mother, I'm worried about dangerous insects, especially mosquitoes, which spread diseases like malaria to my loved ones. This year, I'm not afraid. I'm using Mortein Doom. Mortein Doom All Insect Killer provides protection in seconds. Not even a single mosquito is spared, because even one mosquito bite can cause malaria. Mortein Doom provides protection in seconds.
Tips on fighting malaria.
Use Mortein Doom insecticide regularly. Sleep under long-lasting insecticidal mosquito net. Clear blocked drains and get rid of stagnant water.
This public message is brought to you by Mortein Doom. Zero malaria starts with me.
Parenting is all about learning. When to be tough and when to be gentle. Tough, gentle. But when it comes to fever, you need to be both. Panadol Baby and Infant starts to work on fever in 15 minutes and is gentle on the tummy. Tough call. Panadol Baby and Infant. Tough on fever, gentle on your child.
NTV Business News in association with Sendi.
The International Monetary Fund has defended its 255 billion shilling loan to Kenya, saying that it's the cheapest form of credit available as the country looks to streamline its finances in the face of depressed tax revenue. Speaking during the launch of the Sub-Saharan Africa Regional Economic Outlook, the IMF Africa Director said Kenya faces fiscal challenges which necessitate concessional financing support from institutions such as the IMF. The fund says the alternative is for Kenya to reduce its deficit.
You need a framework, a medium-term fiscal framework, how to handle and contain debt vulnerabilities and bring them down over the medium to long term. And that's exactly what the program is designed to do. And we, of course, are providing financing, but it's the cheapest financing that's available for the government of Kenya at a time like this.
Well, they're yet to become mainstream, but did you know that green buildings have a higher resale value than traditional housing, devoid of any green attributes? Well, the former president of the Architectural Association of Kenya, Mugure Njendu, says you might eventually have to go green when it comes to the construction of your house when local policy catches up with the strains of climate change on planet Earth. Alex Mwangi reports.
When it comes to going green in the construction industry and in the retail sector in particular, the idea is yet to gain traction, even as the magnitude of the challenge of climate change globally continues to get into sharper focus.
We tend to be a culture where we do what the other person has done, which is also why we break rules, unfortunately, in terms of zoning and things like that. You put up a building and say, oh, but my neighbor has built a 6-story building, even me, I should build it, but that's not the law. So what we need to do actually when it comes to green building design and sustainable building materials is to mainstream these materials.
Perceptions guide the decision-making process. So for some, the notion of putting up a green building to live is taken to be an expensive venture. Njendu says this perception is wrong and that in fact, investing in a green residential house or any type of building for that matter is a smart move. Here's why.
Simple decisions that you make in passive design right in the beginning can make your building a green building. Additionally, when you look at green buildings right now, they are much more of a higher value when you try to resell them. And in addition, they're also lower risk.
Kenya has existing laws that aid in the green agenda, but the challenge remains where the rubber meets the road.
We also saw that, for example, there's a Water and Sanitation Act that says buildings, you should have rainwater harvesting, and they even go as far as to tell you how to harvest the rainwater, how to calculate for it. That's existing, but it's very rare that they are being implemented.
Jendu warns of dire consequences should one be too rigid to embrace the green bandwagon.
Policy will catch up to what is happening in terms of climate change. And fundamentally, if you don't build a green building in 10 or 20 years, the policy will be such that you must have a green building. Then you should have an obsolete building, which is a substantial loss to you.
Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Insurance firm Jubilee Holdings has reported 4.1 billion shillings in net earnings for 2020, a marginal increase from the 4 billion shillings reported in 2019. The performance of the firm was buoyed by a 227 million shilling decline in expenses, which eased the pressure on the gross premiums earned, which remained flat at 29 billion shillings. In 2020, Jubilee Holdings paid out 13.8 billion shillings in claims and policy benefits, a slight decline from the 13.9 billion shillings paid out in 2019. The insurance firm's board is proposing payment of a final dividend of 8 shillings per share to be paid on or about the 26th of July 2021. You can now do a time-lapse of any part of Kenya going back as far as 1984, enabling you to walk back in time and see the impact of trends such as urbanization and deforestation in a period of 37 years. This follows the latest and largest upgrade of American multinational Google's program known as Google Earth. In the latest upgrade, 24 million satellite photos from the past 37 years have been compiled into a 4-dimension experience, allowing a time-lapse execution. According to the American multinational, recurrent themes of interest which have attracted time-lapses are forest change, urban growth, warming temperatures, and sources of energy. Well, I can definitely not wait for that. It's like taking a trip down, history. Let's just take another break. We still have more. Stay with us.
NTV Business News in association with Sendi.
What does it take to move a nation? It takes Sendi.
Invest in the new, fully furnished Grand Suisse Suites situated on the serene Riat Hills in Kisumu City. Each unit has a modern ensuite bedroom, a spacious living area, and a modern kitchen. At only 5 million Kenya shillings, a buyer is guaranteed a monthly income of 40,000 shillings. Plus, free access to facilities at the Grand Royal Swiss Hotel. Call us on 0720 927 238.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there.
Selena!
It's great seeing you getting so much value for your money.
Well, it's important to save as much as you can.
You save everywhere. Except for here. This is where you're throwing money down the drain.
How?
On these cleaning products.
Impossible.
Harpic 10X. While other cleaners flow away, Harpic 10X's viscous formula in only one round of application gives you sparkling, clean toilet. Harpic, 10 times better cleaning than other cleaning products.
And great savings too.
Shushu, wamesema hakuna harusi. Kwa nini? Shushu, mamisa harusi ya France maitaendelea.
Pike Brian record tustrimiwe do.
Nasema Safaricom iko na 500 MB free kila siku. Sasa tunaweza kustrimiwe do.
Shushu.
Get 500 MB free kila siku and never miss a moment.
No matter what's going on in the world, there's one place you can go to stay up to date with the latest global news. The BBC News World Service app helps you go behind the headlines and make sense of what's going on around the world. And with a call to listen button, you can listen to live radio without using your data. Download the BBC News World Service app and start listening today.
This looks different.
It is. See for yourself.
Okay, so it's a photo.
Look closer. Photos within photos.
What about video?
8K video. Beyond cinema quality.
So...
You can pull portrait quality photos straight from video.
But will it last the whole trip?
Battery for the whole trip and the way back.
This is different.
Told you.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile?
All that in one toothpaste?
Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums.
Ah, Colgate Herbal.
Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally. Now introducing new Colgate Charcoal Gently Clean for a naturally fresh and clean mouth.
Now, Juja Preparatory School is among schools in the country that have registered good performance in the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education. It was all joy as parents, teachers and pupils joined in dance after the announcement of the results. Naima Sampao was there and brings us the story.
It was calm and quiet here at Juja Preparatory School as the Cabinet Secretary for Education released the 2020 KCPE results. The teachers here sat following the event. Few minutes after the CS was done, the quiet environment turned into celebration. The two top performers in the school and their parents were also not left behind. They all joined in the dances.
I scored 406 marks out of the possible 500.
Hard work never goes unrewarded. I want to thank my teachers for never giving up on me, for always being with us, teaching us, guiding us, giving us words of encouragement.
Evidently, smiles lit up their faces.
I see fruits of a lot of man-hours that has been put to this. We thank the teachers who, after what happened in the country last year, they decided to use alternative route to make sure that the students access education.
In March last year, when the pandemic hit the country and the president announced closure of all schools in a bid to minimize the spread of COVID-19, the school's administration went all out to equip their pupils with online learning materials to help catch up with the rest of the learners.
It is based on the online classes that we began. Immediately, the Minister for Education announced the closure of schools after the pandemic had hit the global world at large. And we hit the ball rolling straight away with the online learning, basing our learning on the learner management system, where we used a variety. Through that, we've been able to do very well in the examinations.
Soon as schools were reopened, the school ensured that they are COVID-19 compliant. Initially, one cubicle was shared by 4 pupils, but due to the social distancing requirement, the number in each cubicle was reduced to 2. Hand washing equipment have also been strategically placed outside every dormitory, classroom and all laboratories, as well as providing face masks for each pupil. The school has also designated isolation centers as part of preparations to handle any eventuality. An infirmary is connected with every sleeping area with a medical officer manning each.
We do have psychosocial programs within the school that provided a lot of spiritual nourishment as well as guidance and counsel. We had enough facilities that even if the population goes high, we are still able to accommodate that number.
Waste management has also proven to be a major challenge during this COVID period. The school has provided dustbins labeled to differentiate between COVID waste and normal waste, all this in a bid to minimize the spread of COVID. Naima Sampao, NTV.
All right, and time for another break. When we come back, all the sporting action lined up for you.
Have you heard of the Kenya Airlift Program? An initiative that supports Kenyan students to undertake IT-related master's programs in the US? To qualify, one must have a minimum of a B plane in KCSE plus a second-class division in any undergraduate major. Apply. For details, visit www.kenyaairliftprogram.com or give us a call on +1813 573 5619. Kenya Airlift Program, empowering Kenyan students.
Just one capful of Dettol is enough to disinfect surfaces and protect your family and your home. Dettol, tested effective against COVID-19.
Did You Know segment brought to you by EACC in partnership with the International Development Law Organization, IDLO. Ethics and integrity define who we are. Ethics and integrity cannot be subject to legislation, neither can they be legislatively enforced. Ethics and integrity cannot be forced. Ethics plus integrity equals alignment inside and out. Tuangamize ufisadi, tuijenge Kenya.
Like every mom, you want the best for your child.
Happy birthday.
You make sure she knows the joy of sharing happy moments with family. And when everything comes together, you above all others will share the taste of success with her. Blue Band tastes like mama's love.
Mbuyamono kabisa this week on the trend.
Daudi agatenga sumuruoti ndoje kwebire wa Daudi agatenga sumuruoti ndoje kwebire wa
The man putting kisses on the map Embarambamba.
Ukitaka ubarikiwe sana pendi this way
tuko na Geri Kumaro bayo tutaleta kwenye studio. Mbuyamono
yesa akiete mwasakayo ndoje mwebire wa Our brand new Get It community project, Happy Gardens in Kitengela. You matter to us. Pay 800k on any of our projects and get 20k cashback. PAP. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Thank you for staying with us. Some sporting action now. And Kenya Pipeline women's volleyball team coach Paul Gitau believes his team will perform well at the Africa Championship set for Tunisia. This year's Africa Club Championship serves off the 19th of April and will conclude on the 1st of May fast. Even as Kenya Pipeline volleyball team received the official flag from their benefactors, their opponents, KCP, says it will not be sending a team to the Continental Championship. The bankers say 8 of its players and coaching staff are currently involved in the Tokyo Olympics preparations. Kenya Pipeline has now won the African title 6 times, with the last one coming back in 2005. And a maximum of 10 Russian track and field athletes will be able to compete at this summer's Tokyo Olympics as World Athletics restored its authorized neutral athlete scheme after a council meeting on Thursday. The council has decided to allow ANAs to start competing again, subject to a cap of 10 for the Olympic Games. This was said by Rune Anderson, the chair of the Asian Task Force overseeing the country's reinstatement efforts. The ANA scheme allows Russian competitors who meet strict anti-doping criteria to participate in global track and field events, but under a neutral flag and in neutral clothing. Meanwhile, Manchester City set up a blockbuster Champions League semi-final against PSG as Phil Foden's second-half winner sailed a 2-1 victory at Borussia Dortmund to send the Premier League leaders through a 4-2 on aggregate. City had bowed out of the quarter-final stage in each of the last 3 seasons and had to come from behind at the Signal Iduna Park. England midfielder Jude Bellingham gave Dortmund an early lead, but a second-half Riyad Mahrez penalty and Foden's powerful strike moved City into the last 4 of Europe's top club competition for the second time, having also scored the 90th minute winner to give City a 2-1 victory in last week's first leg in Manchester. England international Foden again broke Dortmund hearts.
For the Germans.
And Roma are hoping to reach the semi-finals of a European competition for the second time in 4 seasons as they host continental heavyweights Aja, while Arsenal hope to avoid humiliation at the hands of Slavia Prague, and Manchester United look set for the last 4. Ajax may be 4-time European champions and one of the most exciting sides of recent seasons, but it is Roma who have the advantage going into the second leg of their tie at the Stadio Olimpico in Rome.
Pellegrini, il cross in mezzo, non esce Timber, possibilità di andare alla conclusione, gol!
That was Ajax, I beg your pardon. Now, Joel Embiid finished with 39 points as the Philadelphia 76ers won the battle for first place in the Eastern Conference, holding on to beat the short-handed Brooklyn Nets 123-117. Philadelphia, who are seeking their first NBA championship since 1983, are looking to earn the top seed and home court advantage in the postseason, and this win gives them the upper hand, at least for now, over the second-place Nets. The depleted Nets played without offensive star James Harden, who is recovering from a strained hamstring, and Kevin Durant, who sits out when the team has games on back-to-back nights. Elsewhere, Luka delivered another clutch game winner, sinking an off-balance 3-pointer to beat the buzzer and lift the Dallas Mavericks to a 114-113 win over the Memphis Grizzlies.
Tough shot, Harris, able to connect. One day he gets a shot to be a head coach, something he wants. Shaman drills.
All right, and that certainly brings us to the end of our bulletin this hour, and we loved to have your company from the entire team that made this possible. Our sign language interpreter was Flora Tino. My name is Zainabi Ismail. Till tomorrow, have yourself a lovely night, and a hearty congratulations to all the candidates who performed well in the 2020 KCPE exams. Good night.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Ramadan Timetable, brought to you by Gulf African Bank. We are founded on the principles of fairness, ethics, and transparency. With us, you discover interest-free banking. With us, you discover fair banking. With us, you discover inclusivity. We bank all, regardless of their faith. SMS JOIN to 21981 today to get started. Ramadan Mubarak to all our Muslims brothers and sisters.